They said she was a monster. Until one human reached out, the war was over. At least that's what the papers said. But the base near Sector 12 still looked like a battlefield. Smoke rose from broken ships. Soldiers limped across the muddy ground. And in the center of the camp was a cage. Not a normal one. This cage had electric walls, steel bars, and warning signs all over it. Inside that cage stood someone tall, 8 feet tall, broad shoulders, skin dark gray with glowing blue lines, eyes like burning stars, hair like black wires, muscles like stone. To most people, she was a monster. Every soldier passing by whispered the same thing. Don't go near her. She eats people. She killed 10 men with her bare hands. Look at those claws. Why is she still alive? Her name was Varin, but no one knew that. They just called her the giant alien. Everyone feared her. Everyone. Except Corin. He was not a hero. Just a low-rank human soldier with a quiet voice and a broken leg. He was staying at the base for recovery. He had lost many friends in the war. He didn't like talking much. One evening, while walking with a stick, Corin passed the cage. He stopped. The alien was sitting in a corner, her head low, her arms chained. Her clothes were torn. Her body was bruised. She looked tired, not dangerous, not wild, just lonely. Corin stared at her for a moment. Then slowly, he pulled out a small bottle of water from his jacket. The guards laughed. What are you doing? She'll break your arm. She's not even human. Corin didn't reply. He stepped closer to the cage, just enough to place the bottle on the ground near the bars. He didn't say anything. He didn't make a sound. He just placed the water, turned around, and walked away. From behind, the alien lifted her head. Her glowing eyes looked at the bottle. Then she looked at Corin's back and blinked. The next day, Corin came again. This time he brought a piece of bread. He didn't throw it. He placed it gently and left. Day after day, this strange routine continued. Sometimes he brought fruit, sometimes just water, always silent, always calm. And every time Varin would wait until he left. Then she would take the food, quietly. On the 5th day, something changed. Corin was placing a warm cloth on the ground. It had rained the night before, and he thought she might be cold. As he turned to leave, he heard something behind him, a low, soft growl. Not angry, not loud, almost like a whisper. He turned around. Varin was standing, tall, powerful, beautiful in a strange way, and she was staring right at him. She took one slow step forward. The guards raised their weapons. Step back, soldier. She's moving. She'll attack. But Corin didn't move. Varin reached her hand forward, slowly, as if testing the air. Her long fingers touched the edge of the bars. Her eyes locked with Corin's. He didn't flinch. He didn't blink. Then, with the gentlest motion, she tapped her chest once and then pointed at him. A name, a gesture, a message. Corin didn't understand her language, but somehow he felt what she meant. She was saying, "You. I know you. I remember you." The guards were frozen. Everything was quiet. Corin, for the first time, stepped closer. He lifted his hand. Fingers, open, and Varin placed her large hand gently against his. Through the electric bars, they didn't touch skin to skin, but it was enough. Enough for the bond to begin. That night, the whole base was talking. The alien didn't attack. She responded to him. She didn't growl. She didn't rage. She connected. And in the silence of the night, as the stars blinked above, Varin looked at the empty sky. And for the first time in weeks, she smiled. Just a little. Just enough. The first touch, and the base, went silent. The next morning, the base felt strange. Soldiers who used to laugh near the cage now kept their distance. The gossip had changed. The alien giant had not roared. She had not bitten. She had reached out peacefully. And the only one she responded to was Corin, the quiet soldier with a limp and tired eyes. Some said it was fake. Some said it was a trick. Others said Corin must be crazy, but none of them went near the cage. Corin, however, returned. This time, he brought something different. A book. It was old and a little dirty, but it had pictures of Earth, trees, birds, mountains, oceans. He didn't know why he brought it. He just felt maybe she needed to see something beautiful, something far from war. He sat on a rock not far from the cage and opened the book. He didn't speak. He just turned the pages slowly, showing the images. Inside the cage, Varine sat quietly, her glowing eyes watching every picture. When she saw the image of a child playing near the sea, her eyes softened. When she saw a deer running through a forest, she tilted her head slightly, as if she remembered something, and then she stood. Every muscle in her body moved like steel cables. Her feet made the ground tremble just a little. The guards nearby tensed and raised their weapons. Step away. She's moving again. Corin, are you mad? But Corin didn't, and he looked up at her, calm and still. Varine walked closer to the bars. Slowly. Carefully. Her chains clinked with every step. She knelt in front of the cage wall, her giant frame now at his eye level. For a moment nothing happened. Then she reached out her hand, not as a beast, not as a fighter, but gently, like a child learning for the first time. Corin looked at her hand. It was rough, big, covered in scars. He reached out too, placing his hand on the same spot from the day before. This time the camp fell silent. Even the wind stopped. Every eye on the base was watching. Soldiers, medics, even the base commander, stood at a distance, stunned, and then something unexpected happened. The electric barrier did not stop her hand. It was as if the system recognized her, or she had found a weak point. Her fingers slipped through just enough to brush against his skin. Real contact, real touch. Corin didn't flinch. She didn't hurt him. She just held his hand. Softly. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Boom. An alarm suddenly went off. Sirens screamed. Red lights flashed. Guards ran forward. Guns were raised. Orders shouted. But Varine didn't move. She didn't attack. She just let go of Corin's hand and stepped back slowly, hands up, showing she meant no harm. Corin stood between her and the soldiers. "Don't shoot," he said. She didn't do anything. The base commander, a strict man named Colonel Drev, stormed in. "What's going on? Why is the alarm?" He stopped mid-sentence when he saw the alien standing peacefully behind the bars, and Corin in front of her, unharmed. The colonel's face turned red. "You've broken protocol, soldier," he barked. "You're under review for disciplinary action." Corin stood firm. "She's not dangerous, sir," he said. "She just wants to be understood." The colonel didn't reply. He stared at Varine, who now slowly sat down in her cage, her eyes never leaving Corin. That night, Corin sat in his bunk. He wasn't afraid of being punished. He was thinking about her eyes, how they looked human. No, not human. Deeper. Like someone who had seen things no one should ever see. Then he heard a soft sound. His locker made a click. He opened it, and inside was something strange. A small metal cube with alien markings, glowing slightly. It came with a note. "Use this. She wants to speak." There was no name. Corin stared at the cube. His heart beat faster. A translator. Who sent it? Why now? He held it in his palm and felt a soft pulse, like a heartbeat. It hummed and glowed warm, as if alive. Corin didn't sleep that night. He just stared at the stars outside the window and thought about the moment her fingers touched his skin. Not with strength, not with anger, but with trust. They tried to transfer her. She screamed only one name. Corin. 2 days passed. The base had changed. No one laughed near the cage anymore. No one threw food or insults. The soldiers had started whispering in quiet voices. Many had seen with their own eyes how the monster hadn't attacked even when touched, and they had seen the impossible. The alien's hand wrapped around a human's gently. Now Corin sat near the cage every evening. He spoke to Varen with the help of the glowing cube, the translator. At first her words were broken, strange, but soon small phrases formed. Hello? You. Not afraid. I remember. Sky. Each word felt heavy, like they came from deep wounds. Varen was learning, and Corin was listening. But not everyone liked that. Inside the command center, Colonel Drev stood in front of a red screen. A face appeared, cold, sharp, wearing a dark uniform. It was General Hask, head of planetary command. She's still alive? The general growled. She's communicating, Drev said carefully. She's a weapon. You're making her feel like a friend. She hasn't harmed anyone. That's not the point. Then came the final order. Transfer her, today, no delays, to Lab 7. Everyone knew what Lab 7 meant. No one came back from there. Late that evening, Corin entered the cage zone and found it surrounded by soldiers in black armor. A transport ship was parked nearby. Its engines were humming. The air smelled like metal and fuel. 2 soldiers held shock rifles. A third carried a collar. No, Corin shouted. Where are you taking her? The commander didn't answer. Varen stood in her cage, eyes wide, breathing fast. She knew something was wrong. She could feel the tension, the fear, the betrayal, in the air. As the guards opened the cage door, she stepped back, then growled. Not loud, not angry, but low. Painful. One of the guards moved forward, shouting in a harsh voice, On your knees, now. Varen didn't move. Her chains rattled. 1. Guard raised his rifle. A mistake. The second the beam charged, Varen exploded into motion. Chains snapped. Bars bent. She let out a roar, not of rage, but of pure terror. Corin ran forward, pushing past soldiers. Stop, he shouted. You're scaring her. Inside the cage, chaos unfolded. But then, something happened no one expected. In the middle of her roar, Varen suddenly froze. Her chest rose and fell. Her eyes darted around, wild. Then she screamed one word, one single name, so loud it echoed across the entire base. Corin! Everything stopped. Every weapon lowered. Every soldier stared. Corin was frozen. His heart felt like it had stopped. She had never spoken his name before, not through the translator, not through touch. But now, with fear in her voice, she called for him, like a child calling for help. The black-armored guards stepped back. Colonel, Drev, watching from a safe distance, gave a signal. Stand down. Varen slowly sat on the floor of the cage again, her arms shaking, her breathing rough. Corin stepped inside. She looked at him, eyes full of questions, of pain, of betrayal. They were taking me, she whispered. You didn't stop them. Corin knelt beside her, lowering his head. I didn't know, he said. I'm sorry. I won't let them take you again. Varen looked down, then slowly reached out and touched his face. The translator lit up. Her voice, soft and broken, came through. I chose you. Corin blinked. Chose me. For what? But she didn't answer. She closed her eyes. Her body trembled. She was exhausted. Later that night, Corin was called into the commander's office. Colonel Drev was silent at first, staring at a glass of water. Then he said, They're going to push harder now. They'll come with more ships, more orders. I won't let them take her, Corin said. You bonded with her? I don't know what that means yet, but yes, she trusts me. The colonel sighed. Then get ready, because once they find out she said your name, they'll want both of you in chains. As Corin walked back to his bunk, A shadow followed him. In his hand, he held a small note, slipped under his door. It said just 3 words. She is sacred. There was no name, no signature, but Corin knew this was just the beginning. She showed him her memories, and they were full of fire. That night, the sky above the base was clear. Stars blinked gently in the darkness, as if watching from a distance. But inside the quiet cage, there was a storm brewing, not of wind, but of memory. Corin sat cross-legged just outside the bars. Varen was inside, her knees pulled to her chest, her head low. She hadn't spoken much since the attempted transfer. Her eyes were open but far away, lost in another world. Corin placed the translator cube between them. "Talk to me," he said softly. "Please." There was silence. Then finally she spoke. "I remember burning," she whispered. Corin leaned closer. Varen looked up slowly, her glowing eyes filled with a deep sadness. "You want to know what I am?" she asked. "I want to know who you are," Corin replied. Varen reached toward the translator cube and pressed her palm flat against it. The light inside the device flared bright, not just soft blue now, but deep red like fire. Corin suddenly felt a strange warmth move up his arm, into his chest, and then images. His eyes rolled back for a moment, and then he saw it all. Not with his eyes, but with her memories. A wide valley under 2 suns. Children with gray skin and glowing eyes running through tall golden grass. Laughter. Music. A festival of colors. Faces smiling. That was her home. Her people. Her life. Then, the sky turned black. A fleet of human warships appeared overhead. Sirens screamed. The grass caught fire. Buildings exploded. Children screamed. Mothers ran. Varen's memory focused on a small child, her baby brother. She had tried to carry him, but the ground cracked beneath her. Fire shot from the sky. Her arms burned. The child slipped from her hands. She screamed. Then, silence. The next memory. Cages. Experiments. Needles. Cold rooms. Strange men in white suits. Voices saying, "Her biology is unique." Others saying, "Test subject ready." She had not been a warrior. She had been a sister, a healer, a child of peace. Corin gasped and pulled his hand back. The memory stream ended. Varen was breathing heavily. Her hands trembled. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Dark blue tears, glowing faintly in the dim light. Now Corin understood. "They told us you were dangerous," he said softly. "They said your people started the war." She shook her head slowly. "We only defended," she whispered. "You came first. You fired first." Corin felt sick. All this time the stories had been lies. "You lost everything," he said. "I lost everyone." The silence between them was heavy. Then Varen moved closer until her knees touched the bars. Her voice came low and strong. "I do not hate your kind," she said, "but I cannot trust them. You trust me." She nodded once. "You listened. You didn't fear." Corin looked down at his hands. "I don't know what I can do," Varen tilted her head. "You already did more than anyone. You saw me." Then she did something strange. She placed her hand against the bar and turned her wrist, exposing a glowing mark just under her skin. It looked like a small circle with 3 dots inside. "This is the Cholari, the ancient bond of my people. A sign given only to those we trust with our soul." Corin stared, confused. Then she lifted her eyes and looked straight into his. "I want to give it to you." "What does it mean?" "It means, if you accept, we are one. Mind to mind. Pain to pain. We share truth. Forever." Corin's heart pounded. "I'm just a soldier," he said. "I'm no one." Varen smiled gently. "You are more than that now." For a long moment he didn't speak. Then, slowly, he placed his hand against the bar again. I accept. A soft light passed between them. Not fire, not heat, but energy. In that moment, Corin felt something inside him change. He could feel her heartbeat, her sadness, her hope. Like a soft echo in the back of his mind, he gasped. Varin gasped too. The bond was complete. At that same moment, alarms suddenly went off in the main tower. Red lights flashed across the base. A voice crackled over the loudspeaker. Unregistered telepathic activity detected. Unknown energy signature. Soldiers scrambled. Inside the cage, Corin and Varin stood in silence, their hands still touching. Their breathing calm. They know, Corin whispered. Yes, Varin said. They will come again, but this time, we are not alone. Corin looked at her. Strong, tall, brave, not a monster, not a prisoner, a queen in chains, and now, bonded with him. The general ordered her terminated. Corin did the unthinkable. The bond between Corin and Varin changed everything. Now, when Corin walked, he felt her emotions in his chest like soft waves. When Varin sat quietly in her cage, she could feel his heartbeat fast and strong, even from across the base. It was a connection no machine could break. But to the military, it was a threat. And to General Hask, it was unforgivable. He appeared. On every screen the next morning, his voice sharp like a knife. This alien is too dangerous. The human soldier is compromised. The bond must be destroyed. Immediate termination order. Approved. Colonel Drev tried to argue. She hasn't harmed anyone. The soldier's calm, the alien's stable. But the general's answer was cold. Stable monsters are still monsters. Prepare the execution, no more delays. Corin wasn't told directly. He felt it through the bond. That morning, Varin sat in silence, but her energy was tight, fearful. They will come, she said. When? Corin asked. Varin looked up. Tonight. When the sky hides the ships. She had seen it before. In other prisons, on other worlds. Silence before death. Quiet orders. No witnesses. Corin's jaw tightened. No, I won't let them take you. She looked at him. If you stay, they will kill you too. I don't care. You must. You are chosen now. Corin stood up, his hands shaking. He couldn't fight the entire base. He was just one man. But he had to do something, and that night he did the unthinkable. At 0200 hours, the camp was silent. Only the wind moved, soft, cold. A security officer sat in the control tower, yawning. Lights blinked on his screen. One light suddenly flashed red, but only for a second. Then, nothing. Somewhere near the edge of the camp, an explosion lit the night sky. Not big, just enough to cause panic. Sirens rang. Soldiers ran. Orders shouted. And in the middle of the chaos, Corin moved like a ghost. He wore a stolen uniform. His face was hidden. In his hand was a card. A high-level security pass taken from Colonel Drev's desk just an hour before. He reached the cage zone. 2 guards stood near Varin's cell. General's orders, Corin said, handing the card. Transfer approved. Lab 9, emergency route. The guards didn't question him, not with the badge, not with the uniform. They opened the gate. Inside the cage, Varin stood. Her chains had already been loosened earlier that evening, in preparation for final action. Now Corin took her hand. Let's go. They moved through shadows, passing crates, broken ships, and sleeping patrol bots. Varin was fast despite her size. She moved with grace, like a trained warrior, or something more. When they reached the launch pad, Corin typed in code stolen from a message he'd secretly read in the colonel's office. The shuttle unlocked. Inside, blinking lights came to life. The ship was old, dusty, a storage vessel used for trash disposal, perfect for escape. They climbed aboard. Corin took the pilot seat. Varin sat beside him, her eyes scanning the stars through the window. Corin looked at her. Are you ready? Varin placed her hand over his. With you, yes. He activated the engines. But nothing is easy. Before they could lift off, alarms screamed, red lights flashed, spotlights beamed down, soldiers surrounded the shuttle. Corin heard the voice over the speaker, "Step out now!" It was General Hask himself. He had come in person. Outside, dozens of weapons pointed at them. Inside the cockpit, Corin turned to Varen. "We're trapped." Varen said nothing. Her body glowed faintly, the bond energy reacting to fear. But then something strange happened. The translator cube pulsed. It lit up and sent out a signal. Suddenly, the screens inside the ship began showing strange symbols. Ancient alien writing. Varen's hand trembled as she placed it on the screen. "What is this?" Corin asked. She answered softly. "A call. To who?" She looked out the window at the stars. "To the last of my people." A minute passed. Then, a sound, deep, echoing, like thunder through metal. From the dark sky above, a massive shadow descended. A ship, but not human. It was black, shaped like a bird with glowing gold lines, silent, smooth, and huge. The human soldiers looked up in horror. The alien ship hovered above the base, unmoving. Then, a single message was broadcast across every screen. The Cholari bond has been made. This human is under protection. Touch them and war will begin. General Hask froze. His hand, once firm, now trembled. The execution order was cancelled. Corin and Varen escaped, not by running, but by rising. The chase across the stars, human and giant, together. The alien ship hovered in the sky like a silent god. Its black wings spread wide. Golden lights pulsed across its body. No engines, no sound. But every soldier on the base felt fear in their bones, because this was no warship. It was something older, ancient. A vessel not made for battle, but for judgment. And it had come for only two beings, Corin, the human soldier, and Varen, the alien giant he had bonded with. Inside the small shuttle, Corin gripped the controls. Sweat dripped from his forehead. His heart raced. "Is that ship friendly?" he asked, not blinking. Varen nodded slowly. "It belongs to my ancestors. It answers only to the Cholari bond." "You mean, you called it?" "We called it," she corrected, touching her hand to her chest, and then to his. Outside, the human soldier stood frozen. No one dared to fire. The general had disappeared from the screen. Either fled or hiding. Corin hit the launch key. The shuttle engines roared. Slowly, the small craft lifted from the pad. Dust swirled around them, and then they were in the air. As they rose, the giant alien ship matched their movement, shielding them like a mother bird. Not attacking, but watching. Once they reached the upper sky, the massive alien ship opened its rear bay doors. A golden light poured out like sunlight through clouds. Corin guided the shuttle inside. Once they entered, the bay door shut. Silence fell. They had escaped. But the story was far from over. The inside of the alien ship was nothing like Corin had ever seen. No sharp edges. No flashing lights. Everything was smooth, warm, alive. The walls pulsed gently with light. The floor responded to their footsteps. Strange symbols glowed around them, changing as they moved. Varen walked ahead with slow, heavy steps. She touched one panel. The room changed shape, walls opening, forming a soft chamber filled with cushions, light, and calm air. "This ship listens," she said. "It feels the emotions of those inside." Corin sat on a ledge, still shaking. "So, what now?" Varen turned to face him. "We run. From who? From those who fear what we are." Corin looked down. "I'm just a soldier. I'm not special." Varen knelt in front of him, her tall frame lowering with grace. You bonded with me, she said. That means your spirit is strong. Corin met her glowing eyes. And where do we go? Varen stood and turned to the ship's console. She placed her hand on it. The screen showed a map of stars, thousands of systems. One of them glowed. Red. There, she said. The ruins of my home. What's left of my people. Maybe answers? Corin stared at the screen. And if they don't want me there? Varen smiled gently. You carry the bond. They will welcome you. He nodded. Then we go. The ship shifted. Engines hummed, not with sound, but vibration, like music, and in a burst of golden light, they jumped into hyperspace. But freedom never comes easy. Back on Earth's command center, General Hask stood before a group of officials. Angry and red-faced, they've escaped. And the alien activated a legacy ship. What legacy ship? One official asked. The kind we thought were extinct. And the human? Bonded. Protected. Someone whispered. This could break the peace agreement. General Hask slammed his fist. I want them found. I don't care if it takes 50 drones or 50 fleets. Across the stars, a signal was sent. Corin and Varen were now fugitives, wanted not for crimes, but for being together. Inside the ship, the journey continued. As stars flew past the windows, Corin and Varen shared more than words. They shared dreams through the bond. She showed him stories of her childhood, how her people danced in fields under twin moons, how music floated through the air like mist. Corin shared his memories too, of Earth's forests, of his mother's smile, of the war that took everything from him. One night while sitting near the window, Corin whispered, What if we never find peace? Varen sat beside him. Then we make peace for ourselves. He turned to her. I've never felt this close to anyone before. You carry part of me now, she said. Even if the stars fall, we will not be apart. Suddenly, alarms echoed inside the ship. A red light blinked on the panel. Enemy ships behind us, Varen said. Corin rushed to the console. On the screen, 5 human drones appeared, approaching fast. They're tracking us, Corin said. The ship didn't panic. It changed shape. The outer skin folded, forming sharp wings. Cannons extended, shields activated. But Varen placed her hand on the control and said, No battle, we flee. The ship obeyed, a new course plotted. A tight, narrow path through a dense asteroid field. Corin grabbed the seat. Can we survive that? Varen smiled. This ship flies with heart. And we have too. The chase began. Through rocks, ice, fire, the alien ship flew like light itself. The drones tried to follow. One hit a rock. Another lost signal. The rest fell behind. They were free again. But the message was clear. The galaxy would not let them go easily. Still, they had each other, and for now, that was enough. Earth watched as she kneels. Not in defeat, but in love. 3 weeks had passed since the escape. The galaxy was no longer silent. Every news station across the stars repeated the same headline. Human soldier bonds with alien giant. The Cholari legacy lives. Some called it dangerous, some called it beautiful, and some called it a miracle. But deep in space aboard the ancient alien ship, Corin and Varen were heading toward one final destination. The last ruins of Varen's lost people. A forgotten moon, half buried in stardust. No cities, no armies, just silence and secrets. As the ship landed gently on the surface, Varen stepped out first. Her body stood tall against the empty sky, her hair flowing in the soft breeze of the dead world. Corin followed, his feet crunching the dusty ground. This place, Varen whispered, was once full of life. They walked through broken pillars and fallen statues. Strange symbols were carved into the stone, circles, stars, hands touching hands. Then, at the center of the ruins, they found it. A glowing stone, tall like a tower, still pulsing with light. Varin placed her hand on it. The ground trembled softly. Above them, a hologram of her ancestors appeared. Tall, elegant beings with glowing skin and peaceful eyes. A voice echoed, speaking in an old language, but the translator cube turned it into simple words. The bond has returned. A child of war and a child of peace have chosen unity. Corin stepped closer. They knew this would happen? Varin nodded, slowly. The Cholari bond was always a bridge between fear and understanding. Then the hologram spoke again. If the galaxy is to change, they must see the truth. And with that, a beam of light shot into the sky, straight toward the communication networks of the galaxy. Across 1,000 worlds, screens lit up, and the message played. Varin stood before the camera, proud and tall, with Corin at her side. Her voice was calm. I was called a monster. I was feared, chained, silenced, but one human reached out to me. He did not come with weapons. He came with water, with kindness. He listened. Corin stepped forward. We've been told stories that aliens are beasts and humans are heroes. But the truth is more complicated. We both carry pain, but pain is not our destiny. The final scene in the message showed something that silenced everyone watching. Varin knelt, not in defeat, not in surrender, but in love. She lowered herself beside Corin, her massive frame humbling itself not before a general or a king, but beside a man she trusted. I kneel, her voice said, so the galaxy may rise. And with that, the message ended. Back on Earth, the reaction was chaos. Some demanded war. Some demanded peace. But something else happened too. Something no one expected. People cried, in homes, in cafes, in classrooms. Humans, aliens, children, elders. All wept at the same moment. Not because they were sad, but because they saw hope. And for the first time in generations, the galaxy paused, not for a fleet, not for a weapon, but for two hearts that had dared to connect. Weeks later, Corin and Varin disappeared from public view. Some said they settled on a quiet planet near the edge of the system, where flowers glowed and skies never turned dark. Some said they built a new academy, where humans and aliens could learn side by side. And some believed they had a child, the first of both worlds, with eyes that shined like stars. But none of that was confirmed. All that remained was the memory. The memory of one soldier, one alien giant, and one moment when fear lost its power.